So, this is just a short interview with Pat Baker, Sports Information Director at SUNY Poly, and I want to thank you for being here with me.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah.
Happy to do it.
For all transparency reasons, Pat Baker is my boss at my GA position here at SUNY Poly, and just want to make it clear what our stance is. I recently started working with him with the 360 camera, and we started working on a few projects here. All right. Now, even though I answered part of this question already, who are you? What is your role at SUNY Poly?
Well, my name is Pat Baker, as you said. I am the Director of Sports Information, or Sports Information Director, depending on who you ask. And my position here is public relations, communications, outreach, design, web development, media, press. It's pretty much an all-encompassing voice for the athletics department as a whole. I also take care of recruiting videos and live streaming and game management, statistics. So it's a pretty wide-reaching role.
Right. So you essentially run the internal media here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything that comes out of this office as far as media goes usually touches my desk at least once.
Within athletics.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Within athletics.
Mm-hmm. So, what is your goal as the Sports Information Director?
Well, like this position, my goal is constantly evolving. At this point last year, my goal was to begin live streaming. We accomplished that goal. Our next goal is to bring the technology of our department up to current standards in the market. Being a tech school, we always want to stay as close to the cutting edge as possible without throwing cutting edge money at it. So our goal this semester is to get a recruiting portal done, which at this point is a 360-degree tour of some of our facilities, which is where Brian and his camera have come into play here. He inspired us to do this at this point, and so far we've been getting some good shots and some good footage and starting to piece the pieces of the puzzle together for one
Thank you.
cohesive product, we'll say.
I appreciate the amount of credit you've given me. How important is it for you guys to stay up to date with the latest technology? Because I know that that's a huge emphasis, but what does it mean? Why is it so important?
Well, we are in an industry where we're recruiting the youth, as I'm sure you know. The younger generations tend to be more up to date with the current technology, so we want to stay relevant in that sense. Not only being a tech school and having the technology emphasis and STEM in our academic side, we want to be on the forefront of the technology movement from an athletic standpoint. We want to stand out in the market. We want to make sure that these kids know that we have what they not only need, but what they want. Also, their parents, very underrated part of this job is keeping the parents happy with the coverage that their students get, with the technology available for them. Seeing the games from home is important. So we always want to stay. I'd love to stay one step ahead, but really we're about a half a step behind. Because technology is expensive, man.
Yeah.
So
It's very, very hard to stay up to date
Yes.
with how quickly technology evolves.
it is. I mean, just this semester alone, technology has advanced in at least the video field. We're slowly making steps towards becoming technologically relevant, to say.
Yeah. So, what role exactly has the 360 camera been involved with when it comes to SUNY Poly's athletics?
So I touched on earlier that we are using the 360-degree camera to give students a virtual tour of our facilities. Our facilities are one of our most promising aspects when it comes to recruiting an individual student athlete. Very difficult to see that from still pictures.
Mhm.
So the 360-degree camera gives us an advantage of having almost like a, you're standing in the building kind of moment, rather than them just seeing a square. The 360-degree camera allows us to do a walkthrough tour also with a tool that we've been using to go room to room and see every piece of the athletics facility that we have.
Mhm.
So I think that gets the kids in the door, and that's really what this technology is going to do for us. So I think once we actually release the final product, this tour that we did with this camera is going to be a big part of our recruiting efforts.
Yeah, I certainly hope so.
Yeah,
It's,
definitely.
it's been very exciting to work with.
It is. It's fun. It's cool. It's a cool little project.
Mhm.
A cool big project, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that so far we've only really used it with like one website.
Mhm.
But can you explain, like, if you were to use the camera with other websites, so far it's only really been compatible with Facebook and YouTube. Are there any other websites that you'd like to see it reach out, whether it comes to social media or working with your website personally?
Well, I think most of the social media platforms are starting to integrate 360-degree or at least panoramic photos,
Mhm.
if not 360-degree. Unfortunately, we are not currently compatible on our website without utilizing a third-party tool. Third-party tools can be a little tricky. We use Presto Sports. I've been in contact with the support staff a lot, trying to get them to update their software to get everything compatible and working. No luck so far. So, if there was one website that I wish it was compatible with, it would definitely be our website. It would be nice, but there are workarounds, fortunately. The industry is growing for 360-degree images at this point, and you can see that obviously with Facebook, who's typically on the cutting edge of stuff like this.
Mhm.
But seeing it in Instagram and seeing it in Snapchat and seeing it in Twitter even. I don't know if you can do it in Twitter locally. I think you again have to use the third party, but I think this is a very cutting edge technology at this point, the 360 degree, especially with video integration rather than just still images. So.
Mhm. For sure. Yeah. Could you explain just a little bit more about Presto, just for someone who's not familiar with it?
Yeah, so Presto is our web hosting client. They are a sports-specific website provider. So what they do is they design individual websites for schools that can be hosted on their servers externally. And what that does is it integrates the NCAA standards of statistics that we use through a program called StatCrew so that the program files work seamlessly. If we were to try to do that on our own with our own web developers without using a service like Presto or even Sidearm Sports is another good website provider that if you're interested in looking into more. Sidearm honestly is the technologically cutting edge provider in this industry. Presto is the more sensible option for most colleges, but I'm sure Sidearm integrates 360 degree photos at this point, which is great. But yeah, so Presto builds us our own personalized website, wildcats.sunypoly.edu. I'm sure you know. And they give you a front look and a back look from the website, so they make it easy to update and add content to the website for people who aren't familiar with in-depth HTML coding or JavaScript. And, so it's user-friendly. It integrates statistics. It builds a nice website with all of the things you'd expect to see when you go to a sports website. So that's Presto Sports. They do a nice job. You should check them out.
Moving on, you've had a little bit of time to experiment and look at the Brico Theta S in particular. Are there any criticisms you have or updates that you'd like to see in future versions of the technology that could improve it?
So I'll start off just by saying that this product right now, as it stands, is great. Not perfect, however. One thing that I'm sure you'll notice using the camera itself, and I'm sure if you had to do an interview of your own, you would say the exact same thing as your first beef with it, I guess you would say, is just the connectivity issues. The app is very in-depth, has a lot of settings. However, it's a little bit slow. Using the Wi-Fi from the camera not only wastes the camera's battery a lot, but it also limits your range. So for our use, for instance, we wanted to take a 360-degree photo, but we didn't want to be in the photo. So we had to go outside of the room, which caused a barrier between us and the camera. Losing connection was pretty commonplace in our use. So that would be the first one I would definitely like to see updated, just that connectivity. I think the image quality is acceptable at this point. I think it's pretty good, but the fact that the highest image resolution you can put out on a Theta, even the higher end Thetas that cost upwards of $800-900 was 5,000 pixels at its widest point. With 360-degree camera, 5,000 pixels broken down becomes very grainy, very pixelated. Doesn't really come out very clearly. And I'm sure there are cameras out there that have the higher pixel quality and the size of image, but that's another thing I would like to see upgraded, because your standard camera nowadays, with the advances that the technology's made, is you could easily take a 4,000 pixel wide image, and that's just a small square. So this to this, stretching 5,000 pixels becomes a little stretched. Also, the lighting is good if you know what you're doing with the settings. However, the depth of lighting is a little off. So, like, for instance, if you have a little bit of a bright day and you're shooting inside, you can change the settings all you want to try to see the outside through the windows, but the depth field of the camera isn't very wide, and there's no way to really adjust it past a certain point, because the aperture of the lenses are fixed.
Right.
And that's understandable with 360 degrees, because it is a fisheye lens, making it very difficult to adjust the aperture without having a mechanical lens out front. But depth of field would be a good improvement, being able to adjust the aperture rather than just the ISO and the white balance and shutter speed.
Yeah.
So, but overall, for the price point and for the technologies on the market, this is a great jump-off point, we'll say. So,
yeah, I mean, it's still very early in the stage of the technology. I'm sure a few years down the road, you might have all of those and more in future versions of the cameras.
We've been spoiled to this point. I mean, you look at something like Google Maps, and they have the cameras on the cars. Those are easily $10,000 camera rigs on top of the car, and you look at it, and the image is perfectly clear everywhere they drive, and you expect that quality, but you don't get it for under $2,000. So
it's hard to compete with those.
It's hard to compete with Google.
Yeah, exactly.
Google.
So I know we've sort of already answered this question, but I'd like to ask a little bit further. Not so much with the technology itself, but if there's anything else that you'd like to try or that you'd like to learn hands-on with the 360 cameras, what would it be?
So as far as learning, I don't know if there's much more to learn, just based on knowledge of photography in general, because this is a camera and it has most of the same settings. Experience-wise, though, there are two things that really stand out in my mind when I think of where I would like to go with this technology. And the first one would be live streaming. We live stream a lot of sporting events. I think it would be a very cutting-edge way for us to live stream our games.
Yeah.
Problem becomes depth of field again, because a sports field's usually pretty big, but setting a camera like this right behind the scorer's table or right above the scorer's table on the field and having that be a live feed, 360 degrees, you can pan back and forth watching the ball in a soccer game go up and down the field, and then turn around and see how many people are in the stands, how many fans are in the stands. Yeah. So it's that's definitely very interesting to me as far as 360-degree cameras go. And the other one I'd like to see is 360-degree drone footage. I know drones are another emerging technology on the market, and at this point they're a little bit ahead of the 360-degree imagery, but I think strapping one of these bad boys to the bottom of a drone and flying up 5,000 feet would be a heck of an image. It would definitely be an interesting thing for people to see, especially if you were able to, say, live stream that, putting points 1 and points 2 together. So I'd really like to experience those two things. I know that they've been done. It wouldn't be like a new thing, but
right. Just as a personal
just
experience.
as an individual, that's something that I would like to see here, especially. It would be cool. So
yeah.
This is kind of one of them too. You're using the 360-degree video to do an interview, which is pretty cool. So
right. Yeah. I know that the drones can get a little bit crazy, so you probably need some good protection to come along with that camera.
Yes, definitely
There's been a lot of crashes.
a life-proof case of sorts.
Essentially, yeah.
There's another plug. So we got Rico, we got Life-Proof, Google, Presto.
All right. Do you have any additional comments or anything that you feel like plugging or whatever?
Additional comments. Nothing regarding the camera. I think we covered the pros and cons pretty well, and I'm a very pros and cons oriented individual.
Anything about future projects or whatever that you'd like to talk about?
Check out that 360-degree virtual tour once we finish it up. I think that's going to be a very good piece for us, and could even start a little side job for you. Owning the equipment is the first portion of starting any business. Getting proficient with this technology and being able to implement it for individuals, companies, businesses could be lucrative for individuals everywhere. Not just you, but it's. I'm expecting the rest of the school to be jealous when they see our 360-degree tour of our building. So, yeah, check it out. It's gonna be awesome when it's done. So.
Oh yeah.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate the interview. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the camera.
Yeah. For sure. It's been a great experience.
Not over yet.